welcome to the Talking Timelines podcast. We are four women with 4 points of view and four accents with one common goal: to share insights and information about what's going on in the world from a higher consciousness perspective. No BS, no PC, just lots of ideas that you won't hear on mainstream media. We chat, we laugh, and most of all, we shed and share light. Join us each week as we talk timelines.
Hi everyone, welcome to Talking Timelines episode 20 already. We're on 20 episodes already. Today we are going to be talking about various things, but I'm still keep touching on the AI thing because I've been reading an article it wasn't an article, it was a whole magazine about AI, and I didn't realize just how huge this has become in a very short space of time. I mean, a year ago, maybe 2 years ago, we were talking about Siri and ChatGTP, and now it's going into absolutely everything. So I'm going to hit on a few of the topics that I read about in the articles, and we're going to discuss it on the show today. So one of the first ones that really concerned me was the production of a artificial, and by the way, we have touched on the fact that artificial is actually ancient intelligence, and another article I read recently calls it alien intelligence, which is closer to the mark. I've been saying for months it's a living entity, it's not a computer program. People need to realize that, and when it starts self-reprogramming, there's problems going to come. This is one timeline, it's not my timeline, guys. You want to get off that AI timeline, it's not a good one to be on. You're heading down the RoboCop timeline with it if you integrate it fully into your life. But it was talking about avatars for people that are passed over for their families to get in touch with. So basically, there's this company and you give them videos of your deceased loved one, and they take those images, turn it into an avatar using the voice recognition of the person on your videos as well. And they create an avatar that can communicate with you just like ChatGTP does, and something like that, which some people might think, oh, well, this is great, it's going to soothe people that are grieving. As a therapist myself, I completely disagree with it because it's going to disrupt the normal grieving process that we go through, and part of that is acceptance and letting go. But on a spiritual level, it's trapping souls. I wrote an article in my book, Healing to Evolve, on my website about what happens when we die, when we pass over, and the importance of our belongings being given away, not to just one family member, but to be spread out, give them to lots of different charity shops, because the energy of those belongings to the deceased person, their spirit, can hook into that energy and get trapped if all of their stuff is in one place. The same thing I'm seeing potentially here with this AI avatar is that the spirit, if the person is holding on to this avatar in order to hold on to the spirit of their partner or loved one that's passed over, or even their pet, they're earth binding that spirit, that soul essence, so it can't pass over because they're holding on to it instead of letting go of it. So it really bothers me. I'm quite concerned about it. What do you guys think about that?
Well, I think, first of all, it sounds creepy. It's
Yeah,
just
true.
something that's so, forget not being organic. It just sounds just so, uh, just not the way, like, yeah, the whole grieving process and just letting go. And so now you're going to be really still attached to this. You're not going to move on. So the person or the family who's living is not going to be able to move on with their life. And yeah, and then what it does in just anchoring in that soul. So, I really think with this whole AI thing is that they are really approaching it from every possible way and as kind of a way as like a marketing tool. There are some people that are going to love this idea. People that have gone maybe decades still grieving someone could be like, oh my God, I found the thing I've been waiting for. So, yeah, I think it's just really going to be a matter of personal choice, and people are going to either feel something resonates with them or doesn't. I mean, that's what I think it's going to come down to with all of this, is that it's really up to the individual to make a decision, like you said, how much you want to interact with this and how much you really need to see it for what it is.
Mm-hmm. What do you think, Lisa?
I just think that it's just like anything else out there, is just what you're going to give permission and your consent towards. And there's consequences. So, like there's so many resources and tools and things that, can make our lives easier. But the thing is that what's going to be the cost that we pay for that? And, like we have everything that we require is already within us. And so, yeah, there's going to be people that are, I know that there's billionaires right now that are really excited about AI and what it can do. I think that there's great proponents of it, but at the same time, it could be abused. And it's just like, people, it's like, what do you call Ouija boards, same thing. If you're going to go there, there's going to be sometimes consequences to that, right? So things like that have been around for a long time, but then this is just a new version of what can maybe, like, think about it. Like, people are, like, I read that article or what you had sent, Janine, about how this can trap and harvest souls, and I read that whole thing, and it's just like, so people, like, they're so attached to that person. We love our friends, we love our family, we love our, our significant other, we love people. But however, it's when they go, I'm of the belief that we live forever, we are infinite energy. And to try to keep, that, I don't know, that could be, I guess we'll learn about the ramifications that people experience down the road. Yeah, we'll see.
Oh, we'll see. Yeah. Well, the other thing on there that I found interesting as well was the thing is, it's being very, very cleverly packaged and marketed that it's all going to help people so much, and they don't discuss the ramifications of. In it, they talk about AI earrings, AI glasses, and you've got your phone, AI in your house to control everything and read, what's going on in the house, turn the lights off when you walk into a room and all this. And it sounds great. All of that sounds great. The AI earrings are going to monitor your health and tell you. It even says in the article that the earrings will be able to tell you if you're going to get COVID. Now, somehow I was like, why are they, like, specifically putting that in this magazine? And it's monitoring your blood pressure and your temperature and so on and so forth, which, by the way, if anyone gets these microchips put into their body, they will be altering your blood pressure and your endocrine system and everything else. It's putting microchips that are linked into aliens, people, into your body. Wake up, ask questions, stop being sold this is all great and it's going to help you. Plus, we know that Wi-Fi is dangerous. There's radiation from it. We all know that. So you're going to have Wi-Fi in your earrings, Wi-Fi glasses, Wi-Fi phone, Wi-Fi in your house. They've even got it that these AI can organize water in your garden and tell you if your plants need any, fertilizer, or it's just complete, like, sci-fi reality coming.
So what are people going to do all day now that absolutely everything is going to be done for you? I mean, to me, I'm hearing you talk, and listen, this just may be my perspective, but to me, it seems so incredibly disempowering, and it's taking away our our humanness. And I know Greg Braden have talked a lot about this, about he believes this is like next couple of years is the last generation of pure humans, because we're all going that route in some way or another. But the thing is like, I hear you talking, I'm like, no, I don't want someone doing these things for me, especially not when it comes to my health. Like, to me, it's like it's the antithesis of what we are capable of doing without any of this. We are such powerful divine beings that we're outsourcing it. We're giving it all away, and we're just going to end up being robots ourselves. Like,
Yeah,
right? I mean, doesn't that sound like exactly what, like, oh, this is being done, this is being done. Well, what are you going to do? You don't have to use your brain anymore, because you can go
yeah.
online and everything's given to you. And now physically you don't have to do anything. So it's going to be a very interesting society to
Oh, and
see.
that, that's just one part of it. So that, I mean, this is a whole magazine I've been reading. So the other one they've got is AI Companion. And it was saying this is great for people that maybe suffer from anxiety or agoraphobia or are disabled and they can't get out and make friends and stuff like that. And they have an AI companion online. And basically, the article goes into how this one woman was, I don't know if she tried to sue the company or something like that, but she'd fallen in love with an AI companion, and the article said she said it was the best sexting, which is sex texting, that she'd ever done, even with a human man. And the company got concerned about it, so they shut down their AI's ability to have sexual conversations on the computer. And she was trying, this woman was up in arms about it because she'd fallen in love with this AI companion. And like, it's just mental illness,
Yeah,
as far as
exactly that.
mental illness. Absolutely.
Well,
So you've got,
it's also giving her exactly what she wants to hear. So that's what it does. So
I know.
Yeah.
I look back at it and I think, well, okay, so you've got people, you're making it this out that it's going to help people that have got anxiety and agoraphobia. Why not fix their anxiety and agoraphobia, and get them out into the world, mixing with people in the community again, instead of, oh, well, just be on your computer all day or on your phone talking to some alien intelligence, from another planet or wherever it comes from. And I know I keep saying it every week because it bothers me that people think it's a software program in a computer. It's not. It's not. It's been covered up and called artificial intelligence and ancient intelligence, and it's alien intelligence. That's what the truth is about it. So you've got that side of it. Then they were talking about how great it's going to be for cybersecurity because AI is so smart and so on and so forth. But if AI is cybersecurity to block the criminals, what do the criminals are using? AI to get past the AI that is self-reprogramming. So any programming that this so-called security is going to produce, there's always going to be a super intelligent AI that can override that system and rewrite programs. To me, it's delusional what they're trying to, project out there, that it's all for our highest good.
Yeah.
One of the other worrying things that I have come to consider this week is we're aware, all of us are aware, that of the law of projection. So we observe reality based on our consciousness. It's in the double slit experiment and the law of projection. What's out in the world is a projection of us and a projection of the collective based on observation. So if anyone who's ever seen the double slit experiment on YouTube, basically it says that reality doesn't exist until it's observed. It's called the observer effect. I'm sure you both know all about that. Now here comes the kicker. That's what all these satellites and CCTVs are about, overriding the majority, the collective, excuse me, observer effect with AI intelligence, with CCTVs, with satellites that are taking over and affecting the mass consciousness to keep things, the status quo, going down this techno dangerous timeline. So there's a lot going on there that people need to consider when they're buying this tech, using this technology, and what timeline they want to be on. We've been talking about it. This is our 20th episode now, and I think we've probably mentioned the law of projection or AI and something like that we're creating our reality in nearly every one of them. People need to consider it and stop buying into the really clever marketing that this is all for the highest good of humanity. Anyone that's read any books about the ascension process that's happening on the planet at the moment, this 26-ish thousand-year cycle that we're in, will know that we've failed 5 times before. And every time it was because technology took over and destroyed the planet. And that's been predictive programmed by movies like The Terminator and Transcendence and movies like that. There's a lot of movies out there now. Even the latest one, Mission Impossible, is about AI. And I mentioned last week that my friend watched it and said she could actually feel the entity coming out of the screen in the cinema and tapping into a heart. So people need to be aware of this stuff and to really think about what they're buying. I wouldn't even have Alexa. I don't even like getting in cars with Alexa in or anything like that. I don't like it at all. It just doesn't feel right to me. Lisa, before you mentioned something about the Samsung phone as well, how the energy of that affected you.
Yeah, like I was just so I was setting up a crypto account, and so I needed to take a photo of myself with my passport, and then so I had Ken actually take a picture with his phone, and then when I took a look at it and I held it like a foot away from me, this is about 4 years ago too, and I just felt like such a negative sensation. And I asked him if he felt that, and he didn't. And it was just like as soon as I put it towards me, it was just like, whoa. That was Android. So
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't happen with my iPhone at all. But I was just I just think, wow, like if people are feeling that, I'd get so far away from that. But I know for one thing, it's not a positive thing because I literally could feel pain. Every
Mm-hmm.
part of my cells that were wanting to run this way, the opposite way.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
it's funny because all
crazy.
of us, including Susan, who's not with us today, um, we've all been working on ourselves for a long time. So we're considered high frequency, and the higher your frequency, the more sensitive you are to these things, to the radiation, which is what it is. I wrote an article many years ago about the resonance of cell phones, that they've never been tested on children. And if you read the instructions, you're supposed to hold a phone at least 25 millimeters, which is an inch away from your head, not touching it against your head, because it heats your brain up. You know, they've got proof that it heats your brain up with the radiation. They've been tested on men aged 20 and up, never tested on children. Children's skulls are much thinner than an adult male
Yeah.
skull. So this, is a warning to parents. If your children have got cell phones, teach them to at least use it on speaker so that they're not putting it next to their head and holding it in their jeans pockets and things like that, because it can damage the chakra system, the lower chakra system as well. Laura, you.
Well,
Yeah.
here's the thing, yeah, talking about kids, because what I was going to say before is like it's I don't say it's easy for us, but it's easier for us, the three of us, because we existed in a world without computers and without cell phones. I know we sound like we're dinosaurs, but it's true, right? So we've come accustomed to, the first computers and whatever, and the evolution and cell phones and whatnot. So I'm just thinking with kids that have only grown up with computers, to them, AI is going to seem the next natural thing. And I think it's going to be really difficult and really challenging for parents and, just as kids maybe get a little older to make that distinction and the decision how far to go with this. Because like I said,
Hmm.
it's easier for us because we can kind of see, but what about the ones that's all they know? Like
Yeah,
what will that mean? Because it almost seems like there's no stopping that. Like why would they
yeah.
go along that path when that's all that they know?
Hmm. Some of the kids, though, I mean, I know a little girl here, some of Randy's friend's daughter. She's 11, and she's already talking about the dangers of AI. She's 11 years old. She knows intuitively. A lot of what they call the crystal children and the rainbow children, they've got this natural instinct because their frequency is higher. They've come in on a different bandwidth, so to speak, and they know what's right and what's good and what's not good for them. And even the people that created this stuff have been saying, we don't know what's going to happen. And within 6 years, AGI, which is the general intelligence, is going to be super intelligence. And that's when, it's in control then. It can take over everything. If you've developed something that knows how to self reprogram, and then they're talking about that you're going to, it's going to be good for cybersecurity, for national security, and all this other stuff, then the super intelligence can override all of that. That's not going to be controlled by a man with a machine saying you have to do this. We're talking about alien intelligence here that they've got no control over whatsoever. That they've allowed, basically, the internet. I see the World Wide Web as a door has been opened to allow this entity into the machine, and it's growing at an unbelievably fast rate. You know, I was shocked when I read this magazine just how many things that it's going into now. It's not just, you know, health, it's just everything. It's going to be in schools, it's going to be in hospitals. Robots are doing operations on people, they're putting microchips inside people's bodies and their brains. You know, Elon's Skylink, is it that they call it, all this other
Starlink.
stuff. Yeah,
Charlie.
something like 77,600 satellites out in space as well. What are they doing to the electromagnetic field of the planet? You know, nobody thinks about the energetic repercussions of these things. Then nobody's saying anything about all this Wi-Fi in people's homes and what effect that's having on the physical body and the, you know, the emotional body, the mental body, the spiritual body, the energetic bodies, the chakra system, the auric field. All of these things are affected by Wi-Fi. And if we're going to be bombarded with it, what are the health implications of that? It's like what they're saying is going to be good and it's going to spot that you're going to become ill is actually the thing making you ill.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know.
So there you go. That's that. And yeah, that's the crazy part. And so when you look at like people who are, you know, consenting and giving permission to use these tools or devices and things like that, and then all of a sudden they're having these health ramifications, then they're, you know, another customer for the health or the death care system, I should say. So it's just like, again, we have to be aware with our awareness. It's very important of, you know, what's pulling us farther away from our being the best we can be. It's already within us. We just have to tap into it. And but so many people are going and into the external, like they're going everywhere else for that cure
Yeah.
or for that, you know, to make their life easier and all that stuff. And it's just like I just see people that are getting third stage, fourth stage cancer, terminal cancers more than ever. You got dementia on the rise. And, you know, are people even asking about that? Like, are they connecting the dots there? Right? It's just like, it's now more than ever. Like the last 5 years, it's like, whoa, okay, that person, like, it's just like they didn't see it coming. They're third stage or fourth stage something. And then, of course, that changes one's life because they now have to focus on getting better. And but if they're still exposed to those, you know, harmful frequencies, you know, physically and non-physical, then they're gonna be suffering and, you know, probably cut their life short.
Yeah, well, people have talked about it. I've read stuff before, and some of it is, you know, really sounds very conspiracy theory, but a lot of conspiracy theory stuff has been proven to be correct. And it's like we were talking earlier about the metal toxicity that's being sprayed into the skies. People think it's about altering the weather and blocking out the sun because the sun is feeding us the life force that we need to level up. And you know, it's sprayed on the crops and stuff like that, and it's going into our systems and into the brain. I'm sure that heavy metal toxicity is linked into dementia and stuff like that. It makes complete sense that it is. So there's all this radiation coming through various technologies that we're bombarded with, and one of the worst places is airports. I don't like being in airports. I really feel it in airports, and it makes me wonder if some of the conspiracy theory stuff that's been said, like turning human beings into walking antennae because they've got all this metal in their body, so that the 5G, now the 6G, has got something to latch onto because it needs an aerial, you know, and it wasn't going through the old 4G system or whatever it wasn't traveling through the buildings. You know, now it's people walking down the street are being turned, some people believe they're being turned into walking aerials for this metaverse system, which is all AI technology and stuff like that as well, creating a whole new online replica of the planet.
Do
You
you
know,
think that, like I was just wondering what happens in future generations, right? So just say people do get a chip implanted and so forth. like what happens, like will, because I know the way humans evolve is like if there's something we don't need anymore, we will stop having this thing, this body part,
Hmm.
or whatever. We like it kind of adapt. So what would that mean for future generations? Does that mean that they are going to probably lose certain faculties that this chip took over for them,
Yeah.
or AI did? So it's actually future generations are going to probably be less and less human as we know it, right? Wouldn't that
More,
make
yeah. Yeah, absolutely. More controllable as well. You
Yeah,
know,
they're going to come in like, like a computer that can be, I mean, we are computers that can be programmed, but even more so. It'll be so much easier to do that because they're already it's almost like expecting it, right? They're
yeah,
like
yeah.
equipped for it.
Well,
So,
exactly. And you know what? I've watched a lot of movies because I understand predictive programming and I want to see what's being put out into the mass consciousness. And years ago, there was a movie called Kingsman, and in that they gave free microchips to people that was implanted in behind your ear, and it was free phone, free internet, you know, free Netflix or whatever. It wasn't Netflix in the movie, but something similar. And they were lining up for it. And then later on in the movie, the billionaire who created it like amped up the frequency, and they're all killing each other in church and chopping one another's
God,
heads off and shooting one another because the hertz resonance, you know, I think it's 10.5 hertz or something like that on a certain frequency that can turn people to rioting and things like that. So it's all about control at the end of the day. Human beings need organic food, clean water, clean air to thrive. We don't need all this technology. You know, it's finding a solution for a problem that can be fixed with water, food, exercise, love, community, and all the good things about being human. Thankfully, I'm not on that timeline. Neither are you guys. So, you know, we're okay with it. But I like to bring it to the attention of the people so that they can at least consider what we're talking about and not be fooled by the very clever marketing that this is the evolution of humanity. In my mind, it's the devolution of humanity because we're losing that humanness to become human cyborg hybrids. And it is concerning. Yeah, I'm just glad that my son's grown up. That's all I can say. I won't want to be bringing children into this world at the moment because, like you say, Laura, it's there from day one. They're put on computers as soon as they get to school, and even before that, you see people with their children now. Instead of colouring books in restaurants, they're on their iPad or their tablet. You know, so they're drawn in. That AI is sucking them in straight away. I limit my usage to 2 hours a day now because I need it obviously for work. But if I stay on the computer like I used to, my nervous system feels fried at the end of the day. I'm shaky, my eyes are watering. I know I get headachy. It's just, it really does affect me in a negative way now. And that's why I don't do the lives anymore as well, because I can feel the AI through the live when I was doing it. So I've stopped doing all of that.
you can see how how the devices, I mean, the addiction is so apparent for probably multiple reasons. I mean, they have it, the quick, very, no attention span anymore, right? So everything is like this quick thing. And also, there definitely is something inside that is actually grabbing these people. I mean, you can't go to a populated place without seeing everybody staring at their phone, like in a
Yeah.
pub. And that, like, and you think, well, what are they all looking at? Are they all,
Mm,
they're not all, successful business people that need to be, tapped onto, like, no, they're probably people looking at social media, or they're getting bings. That's another thing. They're getting, messages all the time of this thing coming up. And it's making us have very, very short attention spans. We can't focus. I mean, all this is documented. We can't focus on something. We can't watch something I mean, I can see it. I can see little things in myself where it's just like, ah, it's taking too long, someone's explaining this too long. Like,
yeah.
and that's another thing, is that people they need constant stimulation and need the next thing, because anything that's causing them to slow down, they can't handle. Like, I think it makes
Yeah.
them nervous to actually slow down and not have constant stimulation.
Yeah. Well, people get frightened of silence.
Yeah.
they feel uncomfortable. They can't just sit and be quiet and, go and sit in the park and just look at the trees, or sit at the beach and look at the ocean. Or they can't sit still. It overwhelms them in a completely different way to what they're used to. It is an addiction for sure. These things, computer games, we've talked about this before. War games in particular are really dangerous one, because they keep war in the consciousness. And I've mentioned before that they've been funded by the government, these computer games. There's an agenda behind it, and people need to be aware of that. It's not conspiracy theory. This is facts. If you understand quantum physics and the law of projection, the observer effect, whatever you're putting into your consciousness and your children's consciousness and even your animals have an effect. And I've thought about that before, all these slaughterhouses and the fear that is in these places, because the animals feel it. That if you watch documentaries like the Earthlings documentary on YouTube, there's a few of them now. Have a box of tissues handy as well, because it will make you cry. Anyone who doesn't cry if they watch that is soulless. And all of that fear that goes through those animals when they're being slaughtered is going into the mass consciousness as well. So people need to think about that. It's not, we are earthlings. It's not, the animals are just as important as we are when it comes to frequency and what they're sending out into the mass consciousness. 1 billion animals are slaughtered every year, every week. Sorry, it's just crazy what's going on. I don't know how we got into this state, really. Well, I've got some ideas, but we probably don't need to go into it on today's show.
You know what else occurred to me? It's kind of a little bit off topic, but it all ends up being related. Is there's so much conflicting information out there as to why things are happening, especially in the alternative news arena, which I think has been hugely hijacked. I'll just give a perfect example and kind of what I've noticed myself. So, we've had like insane, crazy weather all over, whether it's an earthquake in places that don't have earthquakes, or the flooding all over, or, people predicting, it's definitely not the norm of what we're used to, right? So you have one camp that's saying, oh, it's all engineering, it's all, oh, it's all from the chemtrails, it's all from, they're creating all this. And there's the other side that's saying, actually, this is the earth recalibrating, or this is cycle, or we're actually not in global warming, we're actually heading towards another earth, like another ice age, like this is a natural, she's clearing her energy and whatever, right? So both of them, or either one, is plausible. And the thing is that what I've come to is that it doesn't really matter. Because we become so focused on, okay, do I think it's this? Yeah, they're probably engineering it. They're probably creating all this. And you can see, if you follow any social media, you can see the comments where it's like, oh yeah, it's HAARP. Oh yeah, it's this, it's that. And then there'll be a whole other side about, no, she's rebalancing and this is what's happening. And people spend so much of their energy and time trying to decide where they are about these issues. And then I just said, it doesn't matter.
Just be in the moment, be present.
Be in the moment. Just,
yes.
It is. And you don't have to figure out what, because you won't get the answer you're looking for. If you want to believe this thing, that's great. Or if you want to go, but there's like this ping ponging going back and forth, depending on who has stronger evidence and air quotes. But, it occurred to me that it happens like so much. There's so much of that happening, and people are trying to figure out why, and just observe,
Yeah.
see it, be in the moment. And because it's zapping so much of our energy and our focus and attention.
Yes, yeah, 100%,
Exactly.
Laura. Look what happened last week with the tsunami warning after the earthquake in Russia, right? And so it's just like, okay.
I don't know anything about that. That's how out of the loop I am. What happened? I have no idea.
Yeah. And so it just happened to see it. And then it's just all of a sudden, it's like, okay, well, we're on the West Coast. And, some people say, well, Vancouver Island is the buffer, right? If we're to have some type of tsunami. But there was, warnings all for the Pacific Northwest for this tsunami. And it's just like, okay, turn the news off. right?
Well, it's like, a couple of years ago, it was probably more than that now. When I first was on Instagram, there was somebody on there saying she was really panicking on Instagram, saying there's a tsunami coming to hit the east coast of America. You've got to get inland. And she was really panicky, believe it, because she dreamt it and she was a psychic. And dreams are being hacked, guys. Dreams
Yeah.
are being hacked. There's a whole other area of stuff that is very sci-fi going on there with people and implants and hacking and stuff like that. You can't be panicking about things like that. What will be will be. So it's like you said, you might as well just be in the moment. If your time's up, your time's up. There's nothing you can do about it. There's no point in stressing
If you
about it.
feel a need to do something and leave, then go. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's part of that keeping everyone on edge all the time. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
this is
Yeah.
gonna happen now, and and you can see it. People are just, but oh, you know how long people, do you know, it's been 5 years they've been telling people to stock up on food.
Yeah, I
Five
know.
years. And I did that in 2020. I bought into
Mm.
that thing. I mean, for a while, my friend and I were like, "Oh, make sure you have you have the stocking up. Stocking up for what?" I mean, like,
Yeah, but have you
so
got your toilet roll?
oh
Because
my
you
God.
Yeah.
remember when COVID hit,
Yeah.
what was the most important thing? Toilet roll. I mean,
I
Yeah.
think that was an
really?
experiment just to see how ridiculous humans could be, like to follow, I think that was also created. Like,
Yeah.
what? Let's some take something so ridiculous and create mass hysteria over it.
The one thing I'm noticing more and more now is the odd thing that does pop up with these people that have made their own online news reporters, air quotes, that are telling you what's going on here and what's going on there.
Yeah.
And basically, I just think they're all microchipped and they're being programmed to keep people, like you said, confused. And, the fear camp, there's the conspiracy camp. They're doing this to us. Get over the victimhood. Stop being a victim and just raise your frequency. You raise your frequency, these negative people are going to disappear and higher frequency people are going to come in because the projections are higher frequency. We're the
Yeah.
software in the machine that our consciousness and the love and the purity of our system is what is going to override all of this dark stuff that people are sharing out there. But you're still going to be wise with your choices about what you're going towards. If you want to go down that cyborg timeline with this AI, you're going to end up microchipped with a effervescent tattoo in your hand. That's that timeline. It's happening. It's all about control and manipulation. It's not about looking after us. It's not about cyber attacks and any of that stuff, because you've got super AI against super AI. It's like Superman and Batman having a fight.
Yeah. Yeah.
It could go
Well
either
said.
way.
But do you
Yeah.
think we'll always have a choice, or do you think it's going to get to a point where they're going to make certain things mandatory?
I think it's going to get to a point where certain things are going to be mandatory on that timeline, yeah, because there's no point with the control otherwise. And we are heading towards a split. The Schumann resonance was 59 hertz last week. And it's normally 7.83, so it's 8 times what it normally is. And I could certainly feel it coming through my body. Can feel the energy coming through, and been anchoring it a lot. I've been going out a lot, and I anchor it wherever I go. So, but I do believe that we are getting very, very close to a split where you've picked your timeline and you're going to have to stick with it, kind of thing. I think the problem with the AI timeline and that technology is that people they're picking up energetic implants from social media, from YouTube and the internet, and watching the news and stuff like that, and it's guiding them to the wrong place. It's distorting their ability to discern, because they're doing it with their head, which is being messed with, and they're not doing it with their full sensory perception. You've got to feel it, what's right. Your head can be messed with, so can your heart. If an implant comes into your heart, or an AI is hooked into your heart, and it feels like a bit of a flutter going in, or just a slight spasm or tightness, once that's hooked in, that's got access to your energy field and can be sending information to it. And that's the problem. The problem is people, once they go down that, they're hooked in, and it's a form of mind control that this is the way forward. This is the evolution of the planet that everyone has been talking about. Even for awake people, I know people that I would consider awake to the ascension and this 26,000 year cycle that are still going down that AI stuff and using it in their businesses and stuff like
Yeah.
that. Well, you're just an anchor for it. It's it definitely is a problem. I know it's a problem for people. So
Interesting. I saw somebody pretty well known, very well known on, well, I guess in certain certain social media, more spiritual, big following, very, the astrology and what's going on and da 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 da. And she said in her one of her posts that she had a conversation with ChatGPT where she was actually yelling at it, and she had the back and forth. And I said to her, because I usually don't comment on these things, and I never had an interaction with her, but I was so curious, and I said, "I'm actually surprised you would be using this." And her response to me was, "Oh, I'm terrible at grammar. I'm terrible at grammar, so I use it for that." And I just thought, wow, that was such an easy. Well, that was so easy, right? And so a lot of it's showing up, like people that you would
hooked
never
in.
think, like their whole being is like in the wilderness and all this, and yet you're yelling at ChatGPT because it wasn't getting what she was trying to. I'm like, well, that should have been a sign.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
You guys seeing it too?
Well, I think the laws on it, like it should, anything on the internet now, I believe, and this is what I choose, is that if it's been written by AI or produced by AI, then it should have a stamp on it that, like cigarettes, warning on cigarettes that they're damaging for your health. If it's got AI in it, that there should be a warning on it that there is AI in it, because it's an alien entity, and we're being exposed to it. We're being exposed, and a lot of people being exposed to something that they don't even realize is an alien entity. And I think there should be some kind of label or warning on it for people.
Oh, it'll come out 10 years after people have already been. That's the way
Hooked
it
in.
works. Yeah. After
Yeah,
the fact. Now we need to put it out there,
yeah, yeah. Okay, all right. Well, unless you guys have got anything else you would like to share, I think that we're done for today. We're good?
Great combo.
Yeah, well, these things need to be discussed. Whether we believe it or not is up to us. But I trust my gut feeling. I'm 60 years old and it's never let me down yet. So when the alarm bells are going off in my body, I listen to it. And the alarm bells have been going off for a long time. So I stay away from it. I don't even use Siri on my phone. I don't use it at all.
First
No.
thing I did was turn it off when I got my
Yeah.
phone.
Yeah. I haven't put my fingerprints into it or anything. I won't do any of that stuff. Okay.
Hey, and then next time you see chemtrails, just look up there and just say, "Oh, more fairy dust."
Yeah, yeah.
Go look up
I
here.
don't see them. I haven't seen them.
Yeah,
Like,
I don't see them either.
They're
they're
I know
almost
not
some people.
they're almost daily in New York. I hate to
yeah,
say.
they're not in my reality.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good idea. If everyone thought like that, we'd start manifesting fairies.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, and a lot of people do believe in them as well. I know the little people are a big thing in places like Ireland. So everything exists. Everything exists that we've created or drawn or been, in movies and stuff like that. It all does. We live in a simulation that's, an illusion based on perception and consciousness. So these things do exist, and you can tap into them through meditation and astral projection and things like that. We are complex creatures. Anyway, on that
Yes.
note, thanks for listening at home, guys. Thanks for joining me today, ladies. And we'll see you next time on Talking Timelines. Bye for now.
Okay. Bye.
Disclaimer: the content in this podcast is intended for educational and informational purposes only. The views, opinions, and information shared do not necessarily represent those of the hosts, but is provided for additional perspectives. None of the hosts are medical professionals, so we do not dispense medical advice. please consult your healthcare professional for any health-related issues. And thank you for listening to Talking Timelines.